Word up, nerds. Welcome to my episode 4 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier breakdown and review. There's a lot of information in this one. Not so much action, but a lot of information. Here's your spoiler warning. Let's do this. Hi guys, welcome back to Loki's Burden, where I have the glorious purpose of bringing you nerd culture news and reviews.
Surprise!
This wasn't the best episode in my opinion. There's a lot of exposition, a lot of talking, a lot of discussions and conversation, reminiscing on old times to give us the information we've been after. However, there are some really good scenes, one of which is the very starting scene. It's like a cold open. We're cut back to Wakanda. We see Bucky sat next to a fire. Io's with him. And she starts reeling off the activation words for the Winter Soldier. And Bucky, he's sat there, I think he's very scared that he's about to be activated once again. But she's reeling off the words. We see flashbacks of scenes, memories that he's having of things he's done when he was the Winter Soldier. But she finishes the words and nothing happens. He's sat there, he's crying. It's beautifully acted by Sebastian Stan. Really good scene. Io was intricate in the freeing of Bucky from the Winter Soldier programming. So then we cut back to where we left off last week, Io and Bucky in the street, and she immediately asks him how he could free Zemo and reminds him of the crimes he committed, the murder of King T'Chaka, and the fact that he tried to frame Bucky for. They took him in, brought him back to health, freed him from the programming, and then this is how he's repaid them by freeing the killer of their king. He eventually explains that he's a means to an end, as it were. She eventually agrees to give him 8 hours, then they're going to come and take Zemo away. Bucky then joins Zemo and Sam in a hotel room. They get another conversation. Bucky finds the news on his phone about the attack of the GRC depot that was carried out last week by the Flag Smashers and Carly. They say she's getting worse. Sam seems quite dismayed by the news. He still thinks that they can be taught down, they can be reached peacefully. Zemo goes off on an exposition about how he thinks that they're supremacists and anyone who's taken the super soldier serum is basically a supremacist. Eventually this will lead to them wanting to dominate others. Zemo says the very idea of a super soldier was bred from a twisted ideology, the Nazis, the Aryan race, all that sort of stuff. This leads to a conversation where Bucky's like, well, the serum didn't corrupt Steve, and even Zemo agrees. He's like, yeah, touche. But there's never been another Steve Rogers, has there? Everyone else who's had the serum seems to be corrupted by it, but I'd argue that Bucky seems quite stable. Yeah, he did some horrendous things under the mind control of Hydra, but that was because he was mind controlled by Hydra. Since he's broken free of the programming, he does seem quite stable. So maybe Bucky is an ideal replacement for Steve. Anyway, they decide that they've got to track him down, and one of the best ways of doing this would be to find the funeral of the person that died last week, the Mama Donya, that Carly looked up to. So that's what they do, they try and track down that funeral. So we cut to the Flag Smashers. We briefly see them camping out outside. They also hear the news regarding the attack that they carried out on the GRC depot. They do seem quite devastated that some people died. They seem quite remorseful. But we also learn that there's now new tightening of the borders, which is completely the opposite of what they want. They want freer borders, and one world. But due to their attack, the opposite has happened. We cut back to the boys. They've tracked down the hospital where they were. They're trying to find anyone who knows of Mama Donya. They're trying to get anyone to point them in the right direction. No one trusts them. Sam has a brief interaction with someone he calls a refugee. And the guy seems quite offended by we're not refugees. We've been displaced. We learn that they were told that they get more supplies, more teachers, medical supplies. But that was 6 months ago and still nothing. So we can see they've lost all faith in the government, in the GRC. No one's trusting them, no one's giving them any information until Zemo kind of bribes some of the local kids, or some of the kids there, give us some sweets. So he gets the information of where the funeral will be taking place, and he tells the kids, don't trust those bad men over there. So he keeps the information to himself. He needs that for leverage. Once he's not useful anymore, Bucky and Sam will just turn him back in, take him back to prison, whatever. He needs a bit of leverage. Yeah, so the boys go back to the hotel room. Zemo reveals that he's got the information for the funeral, but he's not gonna tell them until the time's right. Yeah, and this is where Sam makes a phone call to Sharon Carter. He asks her for a little bit of help, say they need some eyes on the situation. It's revealed. She explains that she may have access to a couple of satellites, which not too bad. Connected there, Sharon. Well done. So they've got eyes in the sky now. Sharon's coming in incredibly handy, as it were. I mean, whether this is just going to be explained later on how she's managed to get these connections, or is it just a convenient plot device? Yeah, she also tells Sam that The power broker went kind of ape shit when he found out that, you know, Nagel's dead. The golden goose is no more. She informs him Madripoor is about to go off big time. So yeah. Anyway, we cut back to the Flag Smasher, Carly, and one of her friends. They're at a cemetery and they're retrieving the rest of the soldier serum that they have stolen. There's still remaining vials to be used. A bit of a conversation here again, another conversation. Her companion's talking about how he used to look up to Captain America, how his granddad fought in the Second World War, and he respected Captain America. And Carly says how it's the shield just represents, you know, a bygone era. It's a reminder of all the people that history have forgot, you know, got all the people that got turfed out. Yeah, and she kind of agrees with Sam on this point that the shield needs to be destroyed. Again, we saw Sam say that last week, and she believes that the serum is how they're going to change things, how they can fight for freedom. So we join back up with the boys. They're on the way trying to go to the funeral, and this is where we see Walker and Hoskins meet up with them. They're a bit dismayed that they managed to track them down, you know, and he's like, well, you know, two Avengers can't just walk around without being noticed, you know. And Walker's all hot, he just wants to go in, arrest Carly, at least. Eventually, Sam's still like, no, we can talk her down, we can go in there, she just lost someone she needs. And he's like, well, we're well past talking. She blew up a building, she's killed people now. But eventually Hoskins says, you know, if we can talk her down, then maybe it's worth a shot. So Walker agrees to give Sam 10 minutes to go in there and talk her down. So again, Zemo probably does more for public relations and the people of this place by handing a wad of cash over to the little girl. She leads them to the funeral. We see Sam goes in alone. They handcuff Zemo like to a boiler. They're waiting outside. Sam goes in. When we see the funeral, Carly again goes into a monologue about how wrong they were, how everyone's been displaced and forgotten about by the governments of the world after the people returned. So again, more monologuing about how wrong they've been done and how we should be sympathising with their course, even though so far they've been portrayed as the antagonists of this series. We briefly cut back, we see Walker, he's now got his helmet on, he's getting all amped up, he's ready to go. He's about to go in there, guns blazing, and Bucky's like, no, come on, we said 10 minutes, let's give him 10 minutes. So we cut back to Sam and Carly, they're discussing, they seem to be making a bit of headway. But then Walker comes busting in, all guns blazing, you know, you're under arrest. Carly's like, oh great, so this is what this is, and you know, she basically does a runner, bit of a chase scene, Bucky goes chasing. She manages to lose everyone, she's making her way out of there. She runs headlong into Zemo, who's managed to free himself from the handcuffs and just get out of there, as he always seems to do. But yeah, he just pulls on her, fires a few shots off, manages to get a grazing shot, so she's hiding. As she stumbles away, she drops the serum on the floor, and Zemo's like the happiest man on the planet. He's like, is this what I think it is? And just starts smashing these vials. Yeah, he's made up. As he's doing this, she makes her get away, she runs off, and Zemo's stomping away and destroying all the vials. And when we just see him get a headshot from the shield, dung! He gets knocked out. So we see Walker come in, he sees the devastation, but he does manage to find one vial that's, you know, rolled away. So he picks that up, pockets it. So now John Walker does have one vial of soldier serum. Warning! So after this we cut back Carly with the Flag Smashers, and they're having a bit of a discussion about what they need to do. During this they get another text message from the Power Broker saying, you know, he's going to hunt them down and kill them. Again, maybe the next episode we might actually see something from this, but another text message from the Power Broker, they just kind of dismiss it. We can't fight two wars, but they decide to try and run the old divide and conquer routine on Walker and the boys. We join up again with Sam and Zemo asks Sam if he was ever offered the serum, which is a theory that we all had, whether Sam was actually offered the serum or not before he gave the shield back, but he turns out he was never offered it, and he wouldn't have took it if he was offered it. Zemo seems quite impressed by this and tells Sam that they can't let Carly and the Flag Smashers make more super soldiers, as you know, we can't have a group of gods running around amongst men. We see Bucky's getting himself a drink and he's just like, man, Sam, you shouldn't have given him the shield. And Sam's like, man, I didn't give him the shield. And Bucky just thinks, you know, Walker's unstable, you know, he can recognise crazy. But this is where Walker comes busting in once again, demanding that, you know, the time's up, you've got to hand Zemo over, he's under arrest. Sam basically blames Walker for the debacle that was what we just saw. And Walker's just like, oh, so you want to go? Puts the shield down, and he's ready to go. But this is when we see a vibranium spear, bang, sticks in the wall. Enter the Dora Milaje, who very quickly hand Hoskins and John Walker their own asses to them. A great fight scene. But yeah, I mean, Walker just seems dismayed that he got handled so easily by people who weren't even super soldiers. I mean, they're even going for kill shots. Bucky and Sam are just stood off watching it all go down. And it looks like Io's about to completely kill John Walker. She goes to stab him until Bucky does then grab the spear and stop her. He's like, whoa. Io and Bucky then have a little bit of a confrontation. She just basically cheats his arm straight off his shoulder. Precision strikes and his arm just falls off. He's like, man. They just walk off because as all this has been going off, Zemo once again has just done a runner down the old drain under the bath. Zemo's out of there, and that's the last we've seen of him. But yeah, I mean, at the end of this, the Dora Milaje walk off, and Walker's just like, man, they weren't even super soldiers. He just got his ass handed to him big time. So yeah, now we cut to another scene, another exposition scene with Hoskins and Walker this time. They're in civilian clothing, sitting off having a coffee. Walker's basically asking Hoskins, would he take the super soldiers here? And he's like, yeah, man, damn straight I would. He doesn't really see any downsides. There's a discussion about, it only brings out the traits in your own character, what you've already got there. So when John Walker says, well, what about me? And Hoskins is like, yeah, but you've got 3 medals of honor. You constantly make the right decisions in the heat of battle. And this is where we find out that Walker, isn't so proud of those medals of honor. He says they're just reminders of the worst day of his life. And some of the deeds that they did get awarded those medals didn't feel like they were good, and now being Captain America, he feels he has the chance to do something good. And Hoskins says, yeah, but imagine how many people could we have saved if we'd have had the serum on that day. And Walker's like, yeah, maybe. So I think this is where Walker does actually decide that, yeah, I do need to take the serum. So after this, we now cut back to Sam's sister, who receives a phone call, and it's actually Carly from the Flag Smashers, and she basically is threatening Sam. She's threatening Sam's sister and his nephews. She wants a meeting with Sam, and she thinks that this is a good way of going about it. Anyway, she delivers the message to Sam, who is not happy about it. They get suited up, and when they meet up with Carly, and they're having a bit of a discussion. But while this is going on, Sharon Carter contacts Sam, and she's like, yep, Walker's on the move. Sam did ask Sharon to keep her eyes trained on Walker to see if he makes a move on the Flag Smashers, as I don't think he trusts him. So yeah, Sharon lets him know that that's exactly what's going on. So Sam realises that this is just a diversion. He gets out of there. Another bit of a chase scene as they're trying to get to Walker and the Flag Smashers, and Falcon flies off. Bucky's running super soldier speed. Carly's chasing. They all get there. A fight ensues, and this is where we see Walker has juiced up, as it were. Falcon bursts in just as Walker's, handling one of these Flag Smashers, bends a metal pipe around his arm. He's holding his own now against these super soldiers. Eventually, though, he does get restrained by a couple of them, and as Carly's coming in to take a kill shot, Hoskins sort of tackles her to the ground. As she gets up, she just smacks him like as hard as she can. He goes flying, smacks into a pillar, and everyone's just like, ooh, shit. Everything stops. Walker goes running over, but, Hoskins visibly is dead. He's very hurt and he dies. So everyone's all looking around. Oh, shit. The Flag Smashers just get out of there. Walker goes sick. He looks around, sees the nearest window, jumps out the window, lands, very heroically, but you can tell he's pissed. Again, he looks around, sees the Flag Smasher running off, goes chasing that Flag Smasher, takes him down with the shield, and as this guy's screaming, it wasn't me, he goes all Steve Rogers on Iron Man per Civil War. He slams the shield down, and then again he slams the shield down. Flesh doesn't hold up, even super soldier flesh doesn't hold up quite as good as an Iron Man suit. All the while he's being filmed by 50 people, and basically the final shot is him standing up with the shield just smeared with blood. Awesome. Yeah, you gotta hand it to Wyatt Russell's performance in this. He plays as Psycho quite well. His performance has been quite good all the way through. You can tell how frustrated he is, and he's portrayed this quite well. But yeah, he's going sick. The facial expression on him. Good performance by Wyatt Russell there. The last shot is of him standing there. He's kind of looking around. I think he knows he's done wrong, but he still takes the shield, smeared with blood. Yeah, so that was it. We cut to credits. Like I said, bit of a slow episode in my opinion. A lot of exposition, a lot of stories being told, a lot of explanation. They've thrown in a little bit of action towards the last 10 minutes of the episode, and they give us a big shock ending at the end. But was it really? I mean, even without reading the comics or any of the history, I thought it was quite obvious. Even my 12-year-old son in the second episode realised that Walker was probably going to go bad by the end of the series. So yeah, I mean, a great image, but probably not a very shock ending as they thought it would be. Quite obvious in my opinion. Yeah, but the fallout from that should be huge. If you remember in the end of the last episode, Walker was like, as long as we get the job done, no one's going to care how we get it done. And now we've got him straight up murdering unarmed man in broad daylight. So it'll be good to see how good old Uncle Sam handles that one. From footage we've seen in the trailers, we know that Sam and Bucky do eventually get the shield. So are they just going to straight up take it at the start of the next episode? I think they're just going to come and take the shield off Walker at the beginning of the next episode. Let me know what you think. Yeah, so we've still nothing from the power broker, as it were. I mean, all he seems to be able to do is send text messages threatening to come and get you. Again, we've only 2 episodes left, and still nothing. He's being hyped up of like a higher power, if you will. But you know, all we've seen from him is a couple of text messages. Nothing so far. We got the Sharon Carter connection. She seems very well connected. There are rumours going around that a lot of people believe that she is the power broker. I'm not so sure on that myself, but she does seem very well connected. So are they going to explain how she has access to 2 satellites, or is this just going to be a convenient plot point? Is there going to be any explanation? We're going to find any of her backstory out? Again, I wouldn't have thought so in this. There's only 2 episodes left. So yeah, it looks like just a convenient plot device. So again, I mean, who is the antagonist of this show? I mean, the flag smashers have been so far, but again, we're constantly being shown they're trying to help people, they're freedom fighters, constantly being told we should be sympathetic to their cause. Even Sam seems quite sympathetic to the cause. Obviously, their methods have gone a little bit out of control. They're the main antagonist. Power Broker, as I say, he's being hyped up as some sort of higher power, but he's basically been a no-show. And now we've got Walker. Is Walker going to be the main antagonist of the show? He's gone a bit dark side. Is it going to be him versus Bucky? Yeah, it's a bit hard to say, you know, who is the antagonist of the show. So yeah, like I say, we've only got 2 episodes to go, and it basically looks like the outcome is just going to be the unveiling of Sam as the new Captain America. There has been some toy leaks sort of confirming this. If you want to take them seriously, probably should. But yeah, I mean, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of the show so far? You're still sticking it out? There has been a report that a lot of people stopped watching after the BLM messaging in the 2nd episode. Are you one of them? You like me, you're sticking it out for the story and seeing where all this goes? So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Are you still loving the show? Are you getting a bit bored? Until next time, farewell.
Subscribe to Loki's Burden.